Just before we start, ladies and gentlemen, could I ask you to turn off your mobile phones or turn them to silent, please? Can I ask that the live streaming now commence to the Council's YouTube site? Good evening, councillors, member of the galleries and our viewing, live streaming people tonight. My name is Alan Getley. I'm the Mayor of the Buloke Shire and the chairperson of tonight's meeting. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here tonight. Can we all be upstanding, please? We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting tonight and pay our respects to the elders and the elders from any other communities who may be here today. Thank you. Please be seated. This council meeting is being recorded and web streamed live to the council's website via YouTube. This recording will also be available as a video on demand. Attendees are advised they will be recorded during the meeting. A reminder that councillors, we act in accordance with the Councillor Model Code of Conduct and support the principles of leadership and good governance and secures public confidence in the office of councillor. I'd also like to say that there's a large crowd here. I know there's some emotion in this meeting, but I do ask that there's no interjection, no shouting or abuse to any of the councillors or staff. Thank you. Councillors and officers are in attendance. I'd like to introduce the other councillors in attendance tonight. Councillor Stephen Barrett, Lower Avoca Ward, Councillor Charmaine Delaney, Mount Jeffcott Ward, Councillor Bernadette Hogan, Mallee, Councillor Graham Milne, Mount Jeffcott Ward, and Councillor Bruce Stafford, Lower Avoca. I'd also like to introduce Mr Wayne O'Toole, Chief Executive Officer, and the Executive Management Team. Gaynor Atkin, over there, Dan McLaughlin, and Jenna Allen. I'd also like to welcome Council Officer Kelly Burnmeister and Contract Planning Officer James Goldsworthy, who are also in attendance. I have not received any apologies for this evening. Apologies from councillors for tonight. Don't need to read that, sorry. Request for leave of absence. I've not received any requests for leave of absence this evening. Disclosures of pecuniary and conflicts of interest. Councillors and officers, are there any conflicts of interest to declare?
No, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. No. If there's no conflict. Councillors, I now call for a motion to suspend standing orders to hear from 3 pre-arranged community members who will address this meeting in relation to the management report agenda item being considered this evening. Councillors, do I have a motion, please?
Yes. Motion to suspend.
Thank you, Councillor Barrett. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hogan. Any discussion? That's carried. We will now call upon the pre-arranged speakers, one at a time, to address the council meeting for up to 2 minutes each. No questions may be asked and councillors will not engage. Will be Mr Sam Goldsmith, representing himself as the applicant to the festival. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thanks, councillors, for the opportunity you gave me earlier today to briefly answer some questions that you had. I'd just like to say I've poured my heart and soul into this event over the past 8 years, and it's so important that when you do make tonight's decision, you consider that. Also consider the planning permit consents that we've got from all authorities for the event to go ahead this year. I'm Buloke born and bred. I've been here for 40 years. I've been in the events industry for 25 of those years. Myself and my businesses have donated tens of thousands of dollars to groups within the Buloke Shire community, including the Buloke Shire itself, in times of need of flood. We've donated to the Scouts, the Donald Stadium project, footy clubs, netball clubs, schools, lots of things. Esoteric does a lot of good things for the community. The fate and ongoing sustainability of the festival, it's in your hands. And it's not just you as councillors, but your peers in the whole community, who I have a lot of respect for, and it really is, it is up to you to support our communities by voting in favour of Esoteric for the Donald community, the Buloke Shire and its future. There's 1,500 people in Donald, and for the better part of a decade we've had up to 10,000 people turn up, enjoy live music and entertainment. Now that's something that's getting scarcer and scarcer with festivals falling over for whatever reason. This one does not need to do that. It needs to continue. We pump $15 million into the local economy per event. We support thousands of jobs. We prioritise local in everything we do, and that's a rule that I implemented in my company 8 years ago. If we can get it in Donald, we buy it in Donald, and that rule is still here today. And you can see that from all the letters of support you would have received from local businesses. Now the event itself, it's on my family farm. We've owned that. We're 8th generation farmers. We've planted all the trees there, over 15,000 of them. And I'd just like to say that we actually really do care about the land. We wouldn't do anything in finishing off, I've overturned every rock that I can to put this on safely for my patrons, including initiatives that we've added this year after an unfortunate to do a report on the site, which is currently happening now. I've just been given the hurry up. Lots of things that we've done. So, in summing up, I implore you to make sure that tonight's decision is for the benefit of the community, for Esoteric, for Donald and for the Shire. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Sam. The second speakers will be Rachel Grant and Sarah Jardine, Donald Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, councillors and members of the Buloke Shire and wider community. My name is Rachel Grant and I'm the owner of S&R Sweet Treats, a business that relies on Esoteric Festival each year. I am also President on the Donald Chamber of Commerce, and this is my Vice President, Sarah Jardine. Today we speak on behalf of the many businesses, residents and supporters who recognise the immense value that Esoteric Festival brings to the region. For the past 7 years, this event has operated with safety being the #1 priority, a strong commitment to harm reduction, and a culture of love and respect amongst its patrons and organisers. Esoteric is more than just a festival. It's a vital economic driver for the local community. Each year, it brings thousands of visitors who spend money at local businesses, fuel stations, accommodation providers, cafes, hardware stores, and many more. Most of these, myself included, have already prepared with extra stock that we can't simply return. Esoteric injects over $15 million into our economy every single year. And in an already challenging economic climate, many of these businesses will now face bankruptcy and immense losses if the festival is unable to proceed at such short notice. The loss of Esoteric would not just impact festival organisers, it would send shockwaves through our local economy and beyond. For me, I will lose thousands. For other businesses and community groups, they'll lose tens of thousands. Three days ago, Sarah and I decided to start a petition. And in this time, we gained over 13,000 signatures online and 464 handwritten. That's the voice of more than 2 times the amount of people that reside in the Shire. It's It's a lot of voices that want to be heard. We do have every one of those names with us today, and a copy has been emailed to all of you. It would be great if you have not already, just take a moment and read a little of what esoteric means to all these people and everyone here today.
The decision before this council is not just about this event, it's about the future local businesses, tourism and broader community. It's about mental wellbeing for everyone involved, whether it's organisers, the patron, the service and food providers, or the very own business owners that reside and operate in your shire paying your rates. In a long-term commitment, if a long-term commitment is not possible, granting a one-year permit at least would allow for a more measurable and thoughtful approach moving forward. We are encouraged to look after each other. We are encouraged to look after one another and ask, are you okay when looking out for your community? So please bear that phrase in mind when making your decision today. The Buloke Shire has something special in the esoteric event, an event that benefits both the economy and the community. I urge the Council to consider the significant impact the absence of esoteric would have, and please allow them, our business owners and community, the opportunity to continue this vital relationship. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, ladies. The third and final speaker will be John McConville, Community Member of Darwin.
Good evening, councillors, managers, CEO, and of course the crowd behind me. John McConville, wife Pam, 4 sons, Toby, Luke, Will and Seb. 65 years old, been in the Buloke Shire 65 years. I might know a little bit about what's going on. This whole thing I can see is one big problem was the lack of communication, which upset me no end. I have great friends sitting in front of me. I have great friends behind me. And they didn't come together to resolve this properly. Excuse me. We haven't, and we aren't doing it well. Post this, if it comes out in the favour of the festival going ahead, we need to sit down early and we need to sort this much, much better. And we can do that. And that's all I ask, that we do this much better. In the crowd behind me, we have international guests. They come from all over the world for this festival. And it's not just me saying it, you can talk to them. I'd love you all to talk to them. And while I'm asking you to do something, I'd love you all to go out to the festival when it does happen and be part of it for the night, and you will understand how good the Goldsmiths and all this crowd behind me and beyond, how good it is and how good they make it and how safe it is. So they do take offence when there's criticism in that regard, and so do I. So you've heard all the facts, you've heard all the figures. I don't need to go over that. But one of the things that I do say, that this is voted as one of the best festivals in the world. And the music industry is failing because of all the rules and regulations which you people have to adhere to and unfortunately maybe hide behind. But we don't need that. We're all in this together. If it doesn't go ahead... If this festival doesn't go ahead, the fallout is bigger than us, and it's going to be huge for the Buloke Shire, and that's not what we're about. And as I said this morning, that the Buloke Shire prides itself in being there, being foremost and helping the community. And we want to see that, and we have seen it, but we need more, and it's not asking too much. If the festival doesn't go ahead, there's no winners. We're all losers, both the Buloke Shire and esoteric. So to wrap it up, I'm here to give a reference for the Goldsmiths, and I don't have to give a reference to the Goldsmiths in front of me or behind me, but I am saying they are one of the most decent, caring families that I know. Our community has huge respect for the Goldies. And so in closing, as we know, the final hurdle is on Wednesday, and it's a big ask, but can I ask an assurance from the councillors, from the CEO, that they will do everything within their powers to make sure that that final tick-off is done on Wednesday, and I don't believe that's a big thing. It is a big thing, a huge thing for you people to do that, but it's not a big thing for the people behind me and for the people that are coming to enjoy this festival and be proud that they're in Buloke Shire as we are. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, John, and thank you to the speakers for your time today. I do also take this opportunity to acknowledge that a public petition has been sent to Council this afternoon in relation to the agenda item for today's meeting. This petition cannot be confirmed within the time frame for a formal report to be brought through to Council, unfortunately. Councillors will now resume standing orders and proceed with Council meeting. And item 5, general business. Councillors, the report we have to consider this evening is the management report, Esoteric Festival. The meeting was called this evening to receive the management report, planning application number PA 24026. The purpose of this report is for the Council to consider a planning application as the responsible authority and to either resolve to grant a permit or issue a notice of refusal. The application is a place for assembly to enable a 5-day music festival, arts and camping event, the Esoteric Festival. The application being considered is for a 10-year permit to enable the event to occur from 2025 to 2034 exclusive. For this item, I'll ask the relevant director, Ms Gaynor-Actons, to provide councillors with an overview of the key consideration from the officers ahead of making our decision on the matter. Thank you, Ms Acton.
Thank you, Mayor. And hello. Is this on? Can you hear me? Yep, beautiful, thank you. As mentioned, Council officers received and assessed a planning permit application for a place of assembly to enable a 5-day music, arts and camping event, the Esoteric Festival, to be held on the Victorian Labor Day long weekend on the second weekend of March. With the festival's previous 5-year planning permit expiring after the 2024 event, Council officers took a proactive approach to initiate engagement with the applicant as early as July last year, prior to lodgement and during assessment, in order to ensure adequate information and a complete application was received. However, insufficiencies relating to the provision and the quality of required information has resulted in two requests for further information being made in October and again in December 2024. The satisfactory response to these requests was not received, which delayed the required referrals and public notice to occur. When considering an application against the planning scheme, Council officers must balance policy requirements when formulating a position. After careful consideration, the Council officers have recommended refusing the planning permit application for a plans of assembly to enable the 5-day music festival, arts and camping event. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Acton. Councillors, do I have a motion for this agenda item?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, we have a motion, and I'll stand to read this because there's quite a bit in it. That Council, having caused notice of planning application number PA 24026 to be given under Section 52 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, and having considered all the matters required Act 1987.
Councillor Milne, can I just pause it there just for a second, please? There's just been that I do actually need a motion to bring us back from standing orders. Councillors, just to tidy up, is there a motion to bring us back from standing orders, please?
I'm happy to.
Thank you, Councillor Hogan. The seconder, Councillor Delaney. All those in favour? That's carried. Sorry, Councillor Milne.
That's all right.
Proceed.
I haven't lost my place.
That's good.
I'll go back a couple of words. Requires under Section 60 of the Planning and Environmental Act 1987, decides to grant a permit under the provisions of Clause 35.07-1 and Clause 35.07-4 of the Buloke Planning Scheme in respect of the land known and described as 267 Gilgil Road and Barung Highway, Gilgil Road and 267 Gilgil Road in Gilgil, legally described as Crown Allotment 2, Section 5, Parish of Banyonong, Crown Allotment 2, Lot 1, Planning TP 514562, and Lot 3, Planning for the use for a place of assembly, one-off 5-day music, arts and camping on the Labor Day long weekend on the endorsed plans, subject to the following conditions. I'm glad you got that out here because commencement of the permit. 1, the permit will operate from the issue date of this permit. So this is a permit. Compliance with documents approved under this permit. Point 2, at all times At all times, what the permit allows must be carried out in accordance with the requirements of any document approved under this permit to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. Approved and endorsed plans is required. Point 3, before the development starts, amended plans must be approved and endorsed by the responsible authority. The plans must be A, to be prepared to the satisfaction of the responsible authority, B, to be drawn to scale with dimensions, C, submitted in electronic form, and D, be generally in accordance with the plans forming part of the application and identified as the Site Plan and Emergency Vehicle Plan Project number 2241, sheet SK01A to SK01D, prepared by Caddick Design and dated the 17th of January 2005, but amended to show the following details. 1, the location and identification of all structures, marquees and entertainment structures to be issued and or accessed by patron staff and guests of the event duration. Point 2, the location and layout of the potable water infrastructure and any associated permits or approvals, including a plumbing compliance certificate, are to be provided to the responsible authority. Point 3, location and details of grey water management pit systems. And point 4, the location of all works associated with the place of assembly. Subheading layout not altered. Point 4 here, the layout and layout of the use and development must not be altered from the layout on the approved and endorsed plans without the written consent of the responsible authority. We're up to use conditions. So hours of operation, point number 5, the operating hours times for each festival are Thursday the 6th March 2025, 12 p.m. open, maximum 3,500 patrons on Thursday. Tuesday the 11th of March 2025, 5 p.m. till close. Food stalls and lifestyle area to close 12 p.m. Tuesday the 11th of March 2025, with all other activities closed Tuesday the 11th of March 2025. Limit of number of persons. Point 6, the maximum number of patrons permitted on the site at any one time is 8,000. 7, the maximum number of staff permitted on the site at any one time is 1,800. The maximum number of complimentary guests permitted on site at any one time is 1,200. Staff and volunteer numbers accommodated on site must not exceed the numbers in the table below, and there's a table here that you will be able to access at a later stage or straight after. Pre-festival event conditions. Number 10, so all staff and volunteers must complete a site safety induction before walking on site. 11, prior to the festival, an emergency management exercise must be conducted in consultation with Victoria Police. Prior to the festival, arrangements must be made to the satisfaction of the responsible authority to ensure adequate telecommunication infrastructure is in place to enable receipt of emergency messaging and emergency warning communication. 13. Prior to the festival, a revised evacuation procedure must be prepared in conjunction with Victoria Police and consigning the role of Victoria Police under the State Emergency Management Plan, SEMP, Emergency Management Act 2013. Just excuse me, it's a dry argument. Point 14, prior to the festival, a revised traffic management plan must be submitted to and approved by the responsible authority with a speed restriction to 40 kilometres an hour on Jill Road. Prior to the festival, a revised medical management plan must be submitted and approved by the responsible authority to the inclusion of a health strategy. 16, an accredited first aid person holding the requisite qualification must be present on the site at any time that staff and volunteers are working on and being accommodated on site. 17. Fire safety equipment must be available on site for the duration of the time that staff and volunteers are working on site and are being accommodated on site for the satisfaction of the responsible authority. 18. All patrons, complimentary guests, staff and volunteers, contractors entering the site must be accurately recorded and the numbers are to be available on request to the responsible authority. 19. Properly established and all necessary facilities for public health and safety are in. Thank you. Are in operation and within the designated opening and closing times as set out in condition 5. Point 20. Before the festival event starts, the following documentation must be submitted to the responsible authority for approval and endorsement by the responsible authority. A. Emergency Management Plan. B. Environmental Management Plan. C. Fire Management Plan. D. Event Medical Plan. E. Noise Management Plan. F. Wastewater and Blackwater Management Plan. G. Security and Safety Plan. H. Traffic Management Plan. I. Waste Management Plan. J. Aquatic Management Plan. And K. Complaints Handling Procedures. The above endorsed plans must be implemented and complied with at all times to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. 21. Before the festival starts, no parking signs must be installed along the access roads to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. 22. Before the festival event starts, A. Victoria Police and Ambulance Victoria must be informed of all ticket sales and expected attendance and provide resources in consultation with and to the satisfaction of Victoria Police and Ambulance Victoria respectively. B. A signed agreement or agreements must be provided by a licensed contractor or contractors stating that it has the capacity to and will undertake the removal of grey water, black water and or other waste. C. A signed agreement or agreements must be provided to the responsible authority that the grey water, black water and any other waste to be removed from the site will be accepted at a properly registered approved waste receival facility. D. A security personnel roster must be submitted to the responsible authority. E. A fire management resource personnel roster must be submitted to the responsible authority. And F. Any to be confirmed positions in any of the submitted documentation must be supplied to the responsible authority. G. An emergency vehicle access plan, grid referenced and showing the location of all entry and internal gates, and suitable colour coding number referencing for all camping areas, detailing the location and width of all alternative access roads into the site, location of command centre, water storages for firefighting, directional signage and proposed method of demarcation must be submitted to the approved and be approved by the responsible authority. When approved, the emergency vehicle access plan will be endorsed and form part of the permit. H. all internal roads, designated camping areas and emergency assembly areas must be properly formed to such levels that they can be used in accordance with the endorsed plans to the satisfaction of the responsible authority, the CFA and any other relevant authority. And I, a copy of the current certificate of currency for insurance must be provided to the authority, responsible authority. This certificate must include provisions for insurance to cover public risk liability to the minimum of $20 million. Point 23. Before the festival starts, a public notice must be published in the local papers informing the community of the dates and hours of operation of the festival and relevant contact numbers for the reporting of complaints during the festival. A draft version of this notice must be submitted to the responsible authority for approval before publication. The dates upon which the notices will appear and the newspapers within which the notice is to appear must be provided to the responsible authority before publication. Point 24, all practical methods must be employed, including leaflet distribution and public notices, to advise attendees of access routes to designated emergency assembly areas, obligations to not trespass on private land, advice regarding procedures to be followed in the event of an emergency and appropriate waste disposal methods. Point 25, before the festival starts, a copy of the signed Vic Roads Memorandum of Authorisation, the MOA, must be provided to the responsible authority. 26, before the site is occupied, including by staff and volunteers, wastewater management systems must be approved and installed to treat all wastewater generated from the event that is not to be removed from the site. The relevant permits, licences must be provided to the responsible authority. 27, before the site is occupied, including by staff and or volunteers, copies of all permits required to construct and operate the on-site kitchen must be provided to the responsible authority or provide a report prepared by a suitably qualified person outlining the reasons any relevant permits and or registrations are not required. 28, before the festival starts, a report prepared by a suitably qualified person on all legislation applying to the swimming lagoon and how the swimming lagoon complies with relevant regulations and legislation, including but not limited to the Building Regulations 2018, must be submitted to the responsible authority. 29, before the festival starts, a water potability test must be conducted by the NATA accredited laboratory. The results must be provided to the responsible authority to confirm compliance with potable water standards as required by the Safe Drinking Water Act 2003 and the Safe Drinking Water Regulations 2015. Point 30, the Loddon Mallee Public Health Unit, LMPHU, contact details must be included in the medical plan for communicable disease notifications, including suspected outbreaks of COVID-19 and gastroenteritis. The LMPHU has a 24/7 service. Contact LMPHU on 1800 959 400 or the email address as given, lmphu@bendigohealth.org.au. During the event, during the one festival event, 31, at all times during the conduct of the festival, a person who is suitably qualified or experienced as site manager and whose credentials have been approved by the responsible authority must be present on site. It must be the responsibility of the site manager present to coordinate the conduct of the festival in accordance with all approval plans and documentations, and to act as the operator's representative for the purpose of dealing with the relevant public authorities and private service providers. Point 32, during the course of the festival, the site manager must fully and accurately complete a record of all complaints, including noise, received, including the name and address of the complainant, the nature of the complaint, the date and time and actions that were taken in response. This record must be made available to the responsible authority on completion of the festival and prior to completion on request. 33, the operators must take all necessary action to immediately comply with any verbal or written directions given to them by the site manager or by any office officer of the responsible authority, or an emergency service authority, which are given to the purpose of achieving compliance with the planning controls or in the event of an emergency. Point 34, a potable water supply must be available on site with a minimum of 100,000 litres of drinking water available at all times. 35, patrons and complimentary guests are permitted to camp in tents, caravans or motorised vans on the land for the duration of the festival. All patrons and complimentary guests must have vacated the site within 72 hours of the completion time of the festival. Point 36, arrangements must be made for the provision of dust suppression measures during the festival to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. Subheading safety. Point 37, no fires are permitted on site at any time during the course of each festival except pyrotechnical effects, which must comply with the relevant legislation, including but not limited to the CFA Act and regulations and all requirements of the WorkSafe Victoria. B, food premises registered through Street Trader with CFA permits. C, any theatrical artistic performances which must have in their possession any appropriate approvals or permits necessary, and if in the opinion of the on-site fire commander, conditions are such that the continuation of the performance activity poses a danger to any person or property, then that performance activity shall cease or be cancelled. Point 38, the following Australian Fire Danger Rating Systems, AFDRS, triggers for cancellation of the event must be implemented. 1, catastrophic closure of the event. 2, extreme 70 fire behaviour index, the FBI, and greater closure of the event. 3, extreme 50 to 69 FBI, consultation with CFA District 18 to determine running or closure of the event. Point 39, if the event is held in the fire danger period, the fire plan must be altered to provide an additional fire tanker with a minimum of 2,000 litre capacity, and each firefighting vehicle must have the minimum crew of 2 persons. 40, the layout of the patron and staff camping areas must provide access to firefighters and emergency service personnel to ensure they can A, travel externally and in pairs to the front and rear of a tent or other accommodation type in full personal protective equipment including breathing apparatus. B, travel unobstructed on suitable trafficable surface, and C, undertake firefighting activities as required. All tents and accommodation units must have a 50 centimetre unobstructed width between all units. The clear access must be maintained at all times. Heading post-festival and event conditions. 41, once the use ceases after the 5-day event, all infrastructure and structures must be removed and the site must be rehabilitated to the condition it was in before the start of development to allow it to be used for purposes under the farming zone or any proposed alternative use. 42, within 14 days, 4 days of the festival event's completion, the site must be reinstated in the following manner to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. Removal of toilet waste to a licensed site. B, removal of all hard waste and recycling to approved disposal facilities. C, removal of all stored gas and other stored quantities of flammable liquids. D, removal of all temporary facilities and equipment. E, repair of all damage caused to the land to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. F, removal of all buildings and structures. The responsible authority may extend the required time frame as stated above if a request is made in writing. 43. Not less than 30 days after the completion of the event, a waste report to the satisfaction of the responsible authority must be provided to the reasonable authority. The report must provide the following. A description of all streams waste. A description of all streams waste has been sorted into. B, how any kilograms of such waste stream was produced. C, the location that each waste stream was delivered to, or provide details of a processing on site. Subheading Performance Audit 44. Within 6 weeks of the completion of the festival, a performance audit must be submitted to the responsible authority, which will review all aspects of the operation of the festival, including A, final attendance numbers, B, a register detailing all complaints received and following up action taken in relation to these matters. C, details of record keeping processes for medical incidents and fires, including the recording of actions taken. D, an assessment of the extent to which the operation of the festival complied with the conditions of the planning permit and endorsed documentation. There's nothing at E. Then F, identify any amendments or alterations to previously approved plans that may be necessary for the conduct of a subsequent festival. 45. The festival manager and other members of the festival management, as required, must attend a debrief meeting which will be held not more than 8 weeks after the completion of the festival. All relevant stakeholders will be invited to attend the debrief. The debrief will review the performance audit as required under condition 44 of this permit. Subheading Expiry, Limited Life Permit. 46. The permit expires at the completion of the 2025 festival. 47. Referral Authority Conditions, Department of Transport and Planning. 47. Prior to the commencement of a major event, A traffic management plan, TMP, must be submitted to and approved by the head Transport for Victoria. The TMP must be prepared by a traffic management company accredited by the Department of Transport and Planning, the DTP. B, a memorandum of authorisation, MOA, must be signed and obtained from the head of Transport for Victoria for the use of or alteration of any major traffic control devices and other traffic management signs located on the arterial road network. And C, the applicant must arrange for a VicRoads pre-qualified contractor to implement the approved TMP and MOA. That is the end of the planning permit conditions. A couple of permit notes here that I will read out, and that's the conclusion. To the Buloke Shire Council, it is your responsibility to ensure all other authorisations are obtained prior to the use and any works commencing. This may include building, engineering and local laws permits. You are also required to abide by any state and federal legislation in relation to your approved proposal. A road opening permit must be obtained prior to any works being undertaken within the road reserve. This form is available on the website. As listed here, please contact Manager of Infrastructure Planning on 1300 520 520 for further information. EPA Victoria, point 1, this permit is not an EPA permission approval. Before the use or development authorised under the permit, this permit starts, the permit holder must ensure that all obligations or duties that arise under the Environment Protection Act 2017 are met. This may include obtaining an EPA permission, approval or exemption in accordance with the Environment Protection Regulations 2021. Point. The Environment Protection Act 2017 came into effect on the 1st of July 2021. The General Environmental Duty, the GED, is a centrepiece of the laws. It applies to all Victorians. If your business engages in activities that may give rise to a risk to human health or the environment from pollution or waste, you must understand those risks and take action to minimise them as far as reasonably practicable. Mouth drying up again. This involves a continuous prevention approach, a continuous preventative approach, and should be undertaken with the understanding that where an operation presents low-level risks or already has appropriate risk mitigation measures in place, further mitigation measures may still be necessary at a future point. For further information on what the laws mean for Victorian businesses and community, go to the registered website here. And the last point from the Department of Transport and Planning, further information regarding Memorandum of Authorisation MOA permits can be obtained from the Transport Victoria website at their website listed here. So, Mr Mayor, that's the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Milne. Top job. Councillors, do I have a seconder for Councillor Milne's motion?
I'll second that.
Councillor Delaney, thank you. Councillor Milne, as you are the mover of the motion, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will just speak briefly because I've been yapping for too long. You meant to belly button all this time.
Flatten the battery.
This is, Mr Mayor, this is Council's first opportunity to be involved in this application, given that all previous work is done between the applicant and our staff members, who have the opportunity to put all this together. And if all goes well, we don't get a say. It's automatically rubber stamped and approved. But we're a little bit happy to be able to be part of this decision today to approve. So, I mean, Buloke, and part of what there is that Buloke is more than one event, I guess. But this is not just an event, as we've heard, as is written. So we hope that the opportunity afforded to the applicant and his patrons is well received and well respected, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Delaney, would you like to speak on the motion?
Yes, I would. Just thanking everybody. I understand and would like to acknowledge that it's been a very difficult time for everybody involved, but we have managed to receive a really good outcome, and hopefully all conditions will be followed accordingly.
Thank you. Councillors, is there any opposition to this motion? I'm seeing none. Councillors, I will now give you the opportunity to speak to the motion. Councillor Hogan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to thank Sam for his attendance this afternoon to clarify all that he and his team have done to mitigate the risks to festival goers, the community and the council. And also I'd like to thank the speakers tonight who have shown us, and which we're fully aware of, the importance of this event to Donald and the wider community. I'd also like to acknowledge the significant efforts of the council staff and contractors who have been working on this event with the organisers since July 2024. And I would note with disappointment that I have found very concerning the level of disinformation which has been circulated in recent days, and I fully acknowledge the risks which this council may take on in voting for a motion against the recommendations of its qualified and experienced officers and contractors. Please think about that. Thank you.
Councillor Stafford.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I can only fully support what my fellow councillors have already talked about. This is a decision that carries significant weight, not just for the festival organisers and the attendees, but for our broader community. The Esoteric Festival has historically delivered both economic and social benefits, and I fully support events that bring people into our region and support our local businesses and of course these events must comply with the regulations, but I do fully support.
Councillor Barrett.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I also concur that it's been a very difficult last couple of days. Me being new to this Shire, it's been challenging. But I would like to thank the fellow councillors for the input today, our staff that's given us great sort of guidance to the event, and wish everybody to fulfil the obligations that is required of them. Thank you.
As the Mayor, I don't generally get to speak on these matters, but I am going to say a few words in this instance. I need to thank the staff. There's a hell of a lot of work gone into this. They've been available to me and other councillors right through this ordeal that we got to where we are today. I acknowledge that over the weekend I received over 300 calls, texts and emails. I did respond to as many as I could. I answered some. I really couldn't answer them all. It was physically impossible. I spoke to many of you, and I must say that most of you were respectful and polite in the manner in which you spoke with me, and I do thank you for that, because that's really important to me. Yeah, there was a couple that were not, but I'm big enough to take that. So Sam, good luck. Hope it all goes well, and we'll now put that to the vote. So councillors, all those in favour of the motion as put by Councillor Milne? That motion's carried. Now we're not quite finished, but we've got a couple of mundane things we've got to do, but we'll do them. So item 6 is question from the public. Councillors received one question for this evening's meeting. The Chief Executive Officer will read to the meeting the name of the person who submitted the question and the text of the question. Thank you, Mr CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. And through you, we have received one question, and that's from Mr Martin Duke, who's here this evening. Thank you, Martin. Martin is from Witchyproof, of course, Mayor, and the question is as follows. When and how is a copy of the Municipal Monitor's report to be made available to the public? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Martin, a council report will be presented to the 19th of March ordinary meeting of council. Noting the Municipal Monitor's report, both reports will be made available via the council website, and the media release will be distributed to local media in the coming weeks. The report is now publicly available via Local Government Victoria website. Councillors, this is the good part. That concludes today's council meeting. I declare the meeting closed to the public. I thank you all for your attendance. I thank you all for your good nature, and close the meeting. Thank you.